Salma.
Okay.
So I go
And
with the
your
pronoun
sound is a
sister.
bit low.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I want to share my screen now. Can you see my Can you see my screen
Yes, I
now?
can see your screen. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and like you're still a bit low.
okay, what about now? Unless this.
Yeah. Or is it me alone? So I don't know like if the other people are having the same problem.
So we can just ask if they can hear me before we continue.
Okay. Can you guys hear? You can just use the chat window.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Yeah,
hear you, though it's a bit low.
What about
hello.
now?
Hi guys.
Yeah, hi Sylvester.
Yeah, she's a bit low, but we can hear her.
Okay.
Okay, so like just go ahead with the session. Let's see.
Okay. So let me. Okay. So good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. I don't know from the past, of course. Here we are still like around 5:40 into evening, but I think he said 4:30 there. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening from every part. So I'll start with the introduction to introduce myself. My name is Salma Lasisi, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I have experience working as a data analyst and also as a Power Platform developer. And like I have some certification in like Power BI DBA 100 and also in Power Platform fundamentals. And I'm in Lagos State in Nigeria. So that's all about me. And I think my LinkedIn page and my Twitter, I'm going to share that later. So let's just move to the what we have to for today, which is building a Power BI model. When it comes to Power BI, we have everything is about data. We have our data preparation, we have our data visualization, and also data modeling is also like important aspect when it comes to Power BI, because before you can get your final product, which is visualization, you should be able to model it. Because when you don't have a good model, then getting your desired result is going to be hard. Like some things you'll be getting what you need to get. So before moving to, I want to share something here. Like look at this report. Like we have the customer report 2020. Looking at this, the reason why as a analyst we're able to get this kind of report is that during your data modeling process, you're able to model your data well. You have different tables that you are dealing with. But with this, you're able to get this. This same report is also is still something I'm going to show as this. You can see the first one I showed. We have everything. Let's see. First one, you're able to get the top 5 customer by sales. But in this report, you can see that we are actually getting the same results for the month and the year. And the reason why you are getting different answers is this second report that shared has a bad model. Like when preparing the data modeling, there's something missing, something we're not put into consideration. Why for the first one, we have a good data model. That is why we're able to get something like this. From here, we can see that for the January, we're able to get a total number of our customer. For May, we are having different value. And the reason why we have this is when doing our data preparation, we take into consideration our data modeling rules, the things that has to be done. And that is what we are going to be able to do today. Like, okay, what are the things we have to do? How are we going to create a data modeling? And this and that. So now I'm going to go back to my slide. I just wanted to show you so you can know why we are doing this. Okay, so let's start from here. So we have this. When it comes to data, we talk about data. Like I know this is not the first Power BI section we'll be having. So at this point, you should know what when I'm trying to talk about tables, when I'm referring to as data, this is. So mostly when you deal with Power BI, we have different tables. Sometimes you can just have like two tables. Sometimes you have three tables. Depending on how heavy your database is, you can have 50, depend. But this kind of this, yeah, this is a there's difference between data and data model. In this case, we have a data, we have three tables. We have our product tables, we have our return tables, we have our sales. These are just data. They are not data model. Because when we are trying to talk about data model, in this case, we are putting consideration the relationship, like the relationship between one table to another tables. And when we are talking about data model, we have to put consideration because we can have a tables that have a product, and maybe from this first one product we have a product subcategory. Maybe we are trying to get like the yearly product subcategory. If there is no relationship between your product lookup table and your sales data, you won't be able to get it. You are just going to get something like this. You're just going to get something like this, like you're going to get the same record for everything, not like you want to get like a specific record for a particular sales. And that is why you have to like when it comes to Power BI, before you get to the last aspect, which is your visualization, you have to make sure your modeling is okay. Is if I'm too fast, you can tell me, and if there's a question, you can always ask. And look at the second one that I have here. For the first one, this is the one I shared, which I said this is not a data model because in this case, we just have like like we have three different tables just there. There's no kind of relationship between them. If I'm trying to get the product name and the order quantity from here, same I'm going to have the same value for everything because there's nothing connecting my product lookup to my sales data, to my return data. So in this kind of case, the pivot table is serving as like a different entity. Like I'm just there. I don't know what's going on with the sales table. I don't know what's going on with the return table. And in Power BI, that is we want to have a kind of relationship between them. For this second one, I said this is not a data model because in this case, I now have a relationship with them. From here, I could be able to get my product name. For the first one, I can get the order quantity. For this first one, which is all product by, like in this case, it's been specific to a particular product because now there is a relationship between them. So when you're talking about this relationship, what type of relationship are we talking about? So that is the next thing that we are moving into. Okay, before moving into that, I'll try to talk about because when it comes about relationship, there's something that have to be put in place. We have our fast tables, we have our dimension tables. So before we can get something like look like this, I said there must be a relationship between them. Then how are we going to get that relationship? How are we? What are the things that is going to be like? Is going to like we are trying to combine something together. So there must be something somewhere that is going to make the relationship possible. And that is when we have a date table and lookup tables. And so our date tables, mostly it is being referred to as fast table. But when you hear people talking about date table, it's still the same as fast table. And lookup table, which is the same as dimension table. So what is our lookup table and what is our dimension tables? So when you're talking about our lookup tables, in this case, we are saying that this particular table, I'm going to go back to my sales and my return and my lookup. I'm saying that, okay, from this product table, there should be a table that is going to be like going to give me the value. Like I'm trying to get the sales of something. Like I'm trying to get the order quantity. Trying to get the return quantity. Why there is a particular table that the only thing I can get from that table is just like the descriptive. Like I'm trying to get my product name. In that kind of case, I have a descriptive of that order quantity or a return quantity. We can say that this sales table try to back to this. Okay. So let me just go. So we can just say that these are sales, these are product name. In this case, we are trying to get the descriptive about it, not like the sum total of the order quantity. Like we are trying to like, okay, the name of the product, the name of the customers, the address of the customer. When you are putting this kind of information in your table, like maybe you have a customer table that give you like the name of the customer, the first name, the last name, the address of the customer, the city of the customer, the gender of the customer. When you're seeing that kind of information in the table, that kind of information is being descriptive about that customer. So in that kind of table, sorry, in that kind of table, we call it look up table, which is still the same as dimension, because it's been like giving you more information about this kind about your customer. But in another table, when we have like the sales, we have the order quantity, we have the product key. In this kind of case, you are telling you that this particular customer, which we've already identified as the dimension table, is not saying that this customer has the total sales of this. So that is the difference between the date table and the lookup table. But we're still going to do some demo to explain all this. And another thing I want to talk about before going to the demo part is why are we stressing ourselves about having a good data model? Why do we have to, instead of cleaning our data and going back to data visualization, why must I go back to my data modeling and start stressing myself? What are the reasons why I'm doing it? One of the reasons I think I've showing you the first one with here, my first Power BI, like this, I think you'll be able to get the reason why we have to get a good data model when it comes to relationships, so that we can be have like get a specific record about the total our customers or anything. And sometimes, which I mentioned earlier, that when you deal with a lot of tables. Sometimes you are when you deal with a lot of tables, you are going to have issue with your data loading. You spend more hours trying to query out your data, trying to analyze. But when you have a good data modeling, you are going to reduce some numbers you spend on data loading. You're going to reduce some numbers. So one of the reasons why I say that always try to make sure that if you are going to enjoy your data visualization, which is the last part, always make sure that when you're working with your modeling, you are able to like work on it perfectly, reduce some sorry, can you give me water? Like reduce some things. So make sure like before going to visualization, which is the sixth part, always make sure you have a good model, or less when you get your visualization, instead of having a split record, you just be ending with something like this. Like you'll be getting the same amount for everything. And the reason why you're getting the same amount of everything is because your model is bad. There's something wrong with it. I wish I would try to go back for this. Okay, sorry. And now we have different basic data model. Some cases, but the most common one is the sky schema. We always have like sky, which I'm going to talk about. We have the flat, we have the sky, and we have the snow. I'm going to talk about. But most time we always have the star schema. Depending on in this case when we are working with like some simple database, which we just have like just one. And sometimes we have the flat, which is also simple. And let me say some complicated case when we have the simple case, but everything is simple. It's just how you understand your data and what you're trying to get from it. So we're going to start with the star schema. And how does the star schema work? Just like the way the star is star, and we have something like a star, then we have something there. And the reason and the reason why we call it a star, like why is it being referred to as a star is basically like we have our star shape, then we have your data here, we have another data here, we have another data, like it's being spread. There's this one in it, which I'm going to go back to it. Then we now have a like another table. After having like something be spread like a star, then we have something inside our star that is now serving as a standalone. So in this case, we are saying we have different branch connected to a single table. And that is what we refer to as the star schema. In this case, we have just one fast table, but different dimension table. And I'm going to go back again. I said when it comes to about our dimension table, we are talking about when we are making reference to that something being descriptive, like the customer name, the location of the customer, the customer promotion name, the customer product name. So in this case, we are being descriptive. We are not doing any kind of calculation. Like we're just trying to get more details about a particular product, more details about the customer. But when you're talking about a fact table, in this case, we are talking about the business transaction. We are talking about the total sales, the total quantity, and the prices. So you can see now we have a star schema. We have like the order tables are being spread like a star. Then we now have one table inside the star, which is our fast table. When you have a star schema format, you have just your fast table, which is one. The order are your dimension table. So you have something like this. So everything, there's only one fast table you have, but all the other tables are your dimension. So in this case, you are trying to solve, which is by what product, by the location, and the salesperson. So this is a star schema, and he said, what are the things you solve? You can have something like what products, by who, when, why, and who. Those are the dimensions. And this is what we call our star. We have only one part table, but you can have two dimensions depending on the data. You can have four dimensions, you can have five dimensions, you can have six dimensions. So this is all about our star schema. And under this, which is not only applied to the star schema, we have different type of relationship. We have a one-to-one relationship, we have one-to-many relationship, and one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-one. And we also have a many-to-many relationship. So we have three different type of relationship, which when you are working with data model, these are the key relationship you work with. Even though most cases it is being advisable, avoid many to many, but some cases you don't have choice but to make use of it. Even though it is being advisable to avoid many to many. For some cases, depending on your data, you have to work with it, is or that to just patch everything up. So for me, yeah, I'm still dealing with a star schema, but in this case, I'm trying to explain the type of relationship we have, that we have one to one. And how does a one to one relationship work? So when you're talking about a one to one relation, you're talking that a one to one, most time when you have a one, we are dealing with a fast table. I mentioned it earlier that we have we have our theory, which is our fat and star. Most time in star, we have one to many and many to one. And when you're talking about one to one, in this case, like, okay, I think I don't have anything that indicates my one to one. So I'm trying to say that my customer, for this, my customer name, I'm trying to get customer name and unique something. Let me see if I can try to indicate how to, like for one-to-one relationship, we are saying that one instance of one table is going to occur as another instance of another table. I think I'm still going to go back to one-to-one, but let me try to explain one-to-many with this my relationship. So from this one, I'm trying to say that I'm going to use my customer table and my sales table. So what I'm trying to say here is like this the customer name, which is like, okay, my customer name is Salma, my name. Salma can only, then we have one order ID, we have products. So we're not saying that one customer, which is like, I'm using my name as this case, like that I have this customer ID, can have different products. Like this is sales, sorry, like this is about like this table I'm using is sales table. That means from this product, I can actually order a bicycle, I can order a phone, or I can order something else. So I'm not saying that as a customer, I have to order one thing. No, we have different products. So as a customer, which is, I'm just a customer, which I'm going to have my customer ID as 001. And just you know that when you talk about our IDs, like our keys, it is always unique. So in this case, I'm saying as a customer named Salma, I'm having the customer ID 001. And when you are looking for any information about me, you have to go to the system to bring in Salma, which is going to be unique. But most time your name cannot be unique. So you have an ID that it is actually my own unique ID. Like when you are looking for Salma, you go and type your 001. So in that case, you can see that it is just one instance, which is anytime you're looking for me with that. But when it comes to my sales, when it comes to my products, I might have different products. Maybe generally I can order for a phone. February, I can actually order for maybe bicycle or something, even though I'm still using my customer ID, but I'm actually going for different things. So in this case, that is why I have one to many relationship, just like the location. This is okay. When I was introducing myself, I said I stay in Lagos, Nigeria. I only have one location, but I can order different things, and that is where we have different. And this many to many relationship is very in all cases, but some cases when you are doing maybe financial modeling or some things, you have your many to many relationship. Maybe even though it is being like it is advisable for you to avoid it, but when there's some need to, you just have to. So I'm going to talk about the second one here. Sorry, I'm going to talk about the second one. We have the star and we have the snowflakes. And the way this one works is, I said, when you, this, the way everything was, we are going to start from like the simple one. Oh, can you see my screen?
No.
I noticed it. Let me connect back. Was the network trying to, where is I connected with this? Sorry, I'm trying to connect back. Network. So sorry, I'm trying to connect back. My network was disconnected. So sorry. Trying to join back. My network. Okay, waiting for you to accept. Um,
Yeah, I have actually done so.
okay, okay. Let me share my screen back.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, we can see it.
yeah, okay. So the first one, the last one, which I said. So this is the third one, which is the snow schema. So the way this one works is for the star schema, for the star we have different dimension, but one part table. We have different dimension, but just one flat table, like a direction, the way the star looks like. But this way this one looks like it is kind of complicated, but not really complicated, but not as straightforward as the star. Because in this case, we are going to be having relationship of relationship in one sense, like look at this one, which I think we go back to them so we can see more. We have our product category, we have our product.
Sorry to interrupt, but we can't see your screen.
Can see my screen? Oh, sorry. What about now? Let me stop sharing and share again. So, can you see it now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let me try rejoining again. I'm not seeing it. So. Okay, trying to join again. Um, just give me a minute.
Hello, are you experiencing some difficulties, Alma?
What do you say?
Okay.
Can you hear me? Trying to. I don't know why.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, let me try retraining again. Network is just going on and off. So I'm trying to change.
Okay, okay.
I'm joining and you're joining now.
Okay, I've admitted you, so try it once more.
Okay. Okay, let me. Okay. Let me now try sharing that on the. Okay. Just tell me if I can see my screen now. So I don't know. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm going to sorry for that. The network. So I'm going to start again. Like we have the star which we discussed. Is the star. We have different dimension and one part table. But this wall, which is now snuff plus, the way it's going to look like is this style is always something that most people will always try to get because it is just simple, just one table, every table just connecting to one table. But in this case, it is not like that. In this one, we always have something like interchange, like relationship between tables. Because look at this product table now. From this product table, we have our product subcategory. So we can have this product category. You can see the blue arrow. This is a table. So instead of the way it is, okay, let's assume this is a star. From the star, so we're going to have maybe this sales table as the first table. Then the other three is going to serve as our dimension. That means this product subcategory is going to be going to our sales data, and the category is going to be going to our sales data. Also, the product will be going to our sales data. But in this case, we are not dealing with a star. In this case, you can see that the product subcategory is going to the product category, while this product is going to your sales data. And that means like when it comes to data modeling, you can't just say, okay, I love working with star. All my data is going to be a star. It's going to be in a star schema. No, but it depends on what you are working with, the kind of data you are working with. You also depend on what kind of information you are trying to get and the way the data is being like the way the data is being processed on its own. So from here, I think we have more like stories. So I would like to go to Power BI desktop so we can get what I'm trying to talk about. So let me just before jumping into my Power BI desktop, is there any questions so far? Something you can just discuss before going to the practical aspects. So you can just ask the question and you can send it to the chat. So is there no question? Can I move on? Can I continue?
Could you please
Yes.
expand more on that snowflake? I couldn't
Okay.
quite get the difference between it and
Yeah.
star.
Okay. So I'm going to use this one to explain. Just like I said one like obvious relation, one obvious difference is that when it comes to star schema, you have just one fact tables and you have different dimension. Like in this case, you have a descriptive something trying to get the sales, maybe the customer. Let me go back to this. So you can see in this case, I'm trying to get what the customer wants, where the customer stays, whom the customer, who or why. In this kind of case, just a simple thing. You are dealing with your customer tables, you have your sales. Everything you are trying to get here is about the sales of like your customer demand. But when it comes to working with some advanced SQL demand, sorry, advanced Power BI demand, like we have some things, we have more than the sales. Which, let me try to go back to this. Like this one, for this table that I'm working on, I have my internal sales, which is giving me some sales here. And I also have my products. I have my sales territory. So it depends on your data, like what kind of information you are getting, you are trying to get. You are going to have that kind of, that is why we have relationship between relationship. So I think when I use this one, you're going to get what I'm trying to say. So from this one, I'm going to drop the, the data I use here. This is just a simple customer report. This is actually the end goal of the report, something like this. But the reason why I was able to get this is I was able to define the relationship between this. Like I was able to get the relationship between this because if I didn't get the relationship, you can see that we have different things here. But something about with modeling is when it comes to getting the subtotal, like the total of something, you will always get it right. But when you want to work with, like you're being specific about a report, like about something, that is when you get one. You can see that even if your modeling is right or wrong, you can still get the total customer because it's going to give you the sum total. Unless you try working with your relationship to be specific with your report. So for this particular report, I make use of I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 tables and I did some calculation, which I think is just a simple sum calculation. Uh, so I'll be because we're working with just modeling. I won't be saying anything about that or anything. I'll just go back to we won't be going to our Power Query. I'll just go to our model view. Which we just click on this our model view. So from our model view, let me try to we can have this. uh, So this is our model view. You can see that we have, just like I said earlier, we have 6 tables. Everything is scattered. And that is why, because let me come here. If I click on this particular page to get the sum of, okay, this is our product. Let me click on this unit cost. Let me go to my calculation. This total, okay, the total profit. When I click on this total profit, this is the total profit. Then I go to my customer, let me say my customer first name. Let me use a table so you can see what I'm talking about. For a table, you can see for a table, for the customer name, I'm getting the same, profit for the customer. And that is because there's no relationship between the customer name and the total profit. So what I've done here is just simple. I just go to normal get my data. I'm actually using a CSV file. Get my data from. I think this is where I can see. I don't think it's here. So like I just bring in my CSV data here to get my customer, my geography, my product, my internal sales, and my date from the data that I'm using, which is from this customer report. And so instead of me going to my Power Query, I just like try to transform it immediately, like just do some visualization with it. So we have the name and the total profit. You can see that for me here, I'm getting the same. Even if okay, let me go to another. This is my customer table. Okay, let me go to my product table and add my category to it. You can see There's no if I continue working like this, I'm still going to get the same amount, the same any kind of calculation I'm going to do here. I'm going to get the same total for everything, for the name, for the product. And the reason why I'm getting is like, look at all the tables here. There's no relationship between any of the tables. Like everybody is just serving as a boss. There's nothing like this is my sales trying to get relationship between sales and product. To get the relationship between the sales and product. So the first thing when you want to work with relationship is have your tables here. So, and which is the next thing for us is to now create the relationship. Like you're trying to build the relationship from one table to another. There are two ways you can create your relationship. The first one is just to like drag and drop from one table to another. But most time, most people use the drag and drop because it is kind of easier and faster. Another thing you can do is to go to your home tab, in your Power BI desktop, go to your manage relationship. So from this manage relationship, you can do new and auto dictate on the norms because the way it is on the norms, when you bring in your data into Power BI desktop, it's going to dictate your relationship. The reason why there's no any kind of relationship here is because I've cancelled all the relationship because Power BI always kind of dictates your relationship for you. Even though it is advisable, go back and check the relationship because it is not always right. Like it is not always healthy. Sometimes you be like, okay, no, I don't want this relationship to be like this. So it is always advisable to define your relationship yourself. Or if you are not defining it yourself, it's for you to go back and check. Okay, let's try to auto detect here. Like, okay, that from here that I have six table. Can you hear me fine? So you can see auto detect. You actually have like five new relationships, five new left. So yeah, let's close this. You can see we have five new relationships with our auto detect because with here we're not even stressing ourselves or trying to get anything. This one is just Power BI work for us. Like when you bring your data, it's going to dictate the relationship for you. But it is left to us to go back to the relationship and check, is this wrong? Is this right? Is it what I want? So from here, before going back to the relationship, I want us to go back to the report I was building. Okay, it's still loading. It's working on the relationship. You can see, let's go back to our report. Let's see if there's anything. You can see that there's some changes. We are not having the same value for everything now. We're not having different value because now there's a kind of relationship between them. That's why we're having different value. But let's do more with just Power BI dictating the relationship for us. Let's go back to it. Let's see why it is like that. So you can just see from here we're having two kind of relation. We're having two kind of things. We have our product. Let me try to minimize it. Stop. So I'm trying to minimize so you can. I'm busy, guys. Get on. So from here, let's start with our first table here. Okay, let me go. This is our sales table. This is our sales table. Let me try to bring. When you click on this, when you do your auto dictate, when you click on it, you want to see that what kind of relationship do you have here. You can see now from here we have one to many. The first one, we are saying that for this sales, they're saying that for this sales territory, everything from this sales territory, it is unique. That is why we have one. It is unique to it. It is unique to that table. So for everything about this sales territory, that means we cannot be having. It is a unique key. When you're talking about this sales territory group one, that means we now have one that is having a relative value for the territory table. So it's just unique. And the second one, so when we map this one from this one, so our sales, this sales here is serving as a fact table. Our internal sales here is serving as a fact table. And remember, when I said fact table, I'm talking about our business requirement, like the sales. You can see from this table, we are having the profit amount, we are having the return amount, we are having our return quantity. When we are talking about anything, when talking about calculation, there's our fact table. So the first relationship is between sales. When we did our auto, so this is it. You can double click here So when you double click on this relationship, it's going to bring you the kind of relationship here. We are saying that the kind of relationship here is this is the name of the table, which is our internal sales, and this is the second name of the table, which is our sales. So it's saying that, and before we can have any kind of relationship between a table and another table, there must be something that is common, like something that be like there should something that is common to both tables. In this case, the first table and the second table, we have a sales territory key. So is this one that is making the relationship easier, because he's not saying that anywhere there is 9 here, you should be able to see it here. So if there's nothing in common between two tables, you cannot define a relationship between them. So it's not just trying to just make two tables join together. You have to make sure that there is a kind of column that is linking. Let me use the word linking one table to another. And that is why we have something like this. So for this particular table, we have our internal sales and our sales territory. You can see here, when you click on here, this is the relationship, this is the relationship, this is the linking bridge between them. And what kind of relationship is it? It is a many to one relationship. Power BI have detected that for us already. It's a many to many relationship. And just like I said, we have for this sales is the one. The internal sales is the many. So you're not saying that for this United States, which is one United States, you can have different other data that is coming from United States. You can have different product ID that is coming from Central Territory region. So that is one of the relationship there. The cardinality. When you click on this one again, another we talk about it. When you click on this particular one again, for the product, just click on that arrow, like a drop down arrow. You're going to see something here. You can see this kind of this relationship to is what is a many to one relationship. And what is linking this one together is our product ID. So the product ID is the one that is making it easy for the internal sales to link with the product ID. And in this case, we have our okay. Another thing I want to talk about here is, so we have our sales territory, we have our product already. But in this kind of case, we are not having a star schema. Because if we have to have a star schema, let me try to minimize so you can see everything very well. You can see that our relationship is not that smooth, because if it's a star schema, you're going to have like everything linking to this internal sales. But in this case, we are not having that, because we discover that the most reason why we always have this kind of relationship inside relationship is that we discover that some of the tables cannot, like, they does not have a direct connection. I think that is the word. Because when you are dealing with the star schema, like you have, just like I said, a linking, there's something to link this together. From this one, we have our customer to our internal sales. So from this customer to internal sales, you can see that there's a relationship between this one, which is our customer key. So we have our customer key in internal sales and our customer key in customer two. But for our geography, okay, look at this our geographic table. Let me try to bring this one down. Okay, so we can see that for our geographic table, okay, for our geography table, if you try to get a star schema, like you are trying to make sure that everything is being linked to our internal skills, from this our internal skills and our geography, we discover that there's nothing linking the two of them, because most of the information here is talking about city, and it has only sales territory key, that there's no key like our product key. There's no product key here. When it comes to our internal sales, the what internal sales has is just product ID. We have a customer key, and there's no customer key here. We only have sales, and we have our sales. So in this kind of case, you cannot link this geography to internal sales. And remember, we want to analyze like we want to analyze like we want to analyze, maybe in this case we're trying to get the profits or sales amount that is being made by the country or city. So in this kind of case, you can't have a direct linking to the fact table. So when you cannot have a direct linking to the fact table, then we kind of, what are you going to do there? You look for a table that has a connection. Like we are not trying, okay, there's no direct connection between geography and internal sales. So are we going to give up on the table? We cannot give up on the table. We have to look for another way that is going to work. But if you have to look for another way that is going to work, then okay, let's try to see what we can do. Let me now bring this my geography up. Then I discover that for my geography, sorry, then I discover for my sales territory that I have my sales territory key here, here. Like for this particular one, there is nothing linking this geography to the internal sales, and that is why we cannot have a star schema. So we have to look for a other way connect back to our internal sales. So this one, we're not saying that we're not trying to link to another table that has a connection to this internal sales. Because remember, this sales territory already has a connection to our internal sales. So in this kind of case, instead of having a direct linking, then you link the geography to this sales. And that is why we have a relationship. Like, let me double click on it. Then we have our geography. You can see that we have our geography tree and this using our sales territory tree. So we already have it like this. We already have this. So when you have this kind of relationship, which is too many to one, because our customer is being like our customer, we have customer ID that has been released. So in this case, we cannot direct our geography to our internal sales. We have a like relationship between relationship. And that is another thing that is going on here too. Because another thing why we cannot like some cases we don't have your direct linking it. For this our customer too, for the customer to city. That's what happened. That we're able to like try to link from one table to another table. So the reason why we are all doing this thing, okay, let's press minimize. The reason why we are doing this is to get a perfect model. That's why I said when working with this, like this is just a simple data model that you can just use the star, like trying to see, okay, this one is not working, let me get to this. And just like I said, Power BI always, when you like, the reason why when I load this, there was not any kind of relationship is because I actually disable it, but I want to make sure that I'm able to create my relationship myself. And I said there are two ways you can create. This is the first one just for you to be like drag and drop, or if you don't want to stress yourself with drag and drop, you can just go to manage relationship and be like create a new relationship. So when you create a new relationship, it's going to ask like, okay, which table do you want to create a relationship to? So let me try to create relationship with internal. Let me say I want to create relationship between internal sales and date. Okay, look at this. Notice that there is no relationship between our date and internal sales. So instead of me to do drag and drop, I might just decided to just come to manage relationship, click on new, click on new. When you click on new, it's going to bring all the table for you. So in this case, I said, okay, I want to create relationship between internal sales and our date. And just like I said, if you are trying to create a relationship, it's going to ask like, okay, what is linking the internal sales to the date? We will now say that okay, our order date, the one we want to use. So you can see now, when you click on it, it's going to tell you the kind of relationship to it. So you're going to kind of relationship to it, which is like, is it many to one or one to one? But in this kind of case, we have many to one. Another thing I think I'm going to stop here by trying to explain this cross splitter direction, because in this case we are saying is a single, and what does it mean when we're having like a single cross splitter? Let me click on OK so we can talk about that one. So let me close this. So now you can see that we now have a new relationship. Now have a new relationship between our date and internal sales. So when we said our now I said let me go back to this managed relationship. For my managed relationship, from this one we created now. Okay, this one is this one. Let me double click on it. For the cross splitter direction. So what does how does the single direction mean? And I think we have single and both. So we are saying that when we say something is single, we are saying that it's only this table, this relationship, that everything is coming from. This one is still loading. That it is coming from here. You can only filter this at dates. Like you can only have a date. You can see the arrow. Okay, let me tell you this arrow direction. It is going from this date to the internal sales. So that means it's just a simple. You can only get information like okay. And most cases when you deal with when you have your both, maybe you have a many to many relationship or money to many. Okay, let me try to click on this word and change it to both. When I change this one to both, so you are trying to say that you can filter your dates by internal sales and also filter your internal sales by dates. So in this case, we have this. So you can see. So we are saying that these two tables can filter themselves, which is saying that from your date you can get different information for the sales, or from the sales you can get different dates, which is like for this particular section we cannot have a double, a double filter. We can only have a single filter because our date is being like we have just one more, like generally is being specific about it. So it's only this one. It's a single filter, not a double. Let me go back and change this to single. And some cases, you might have some relationship, but they are not active. Like I think that is the advance, but let me just try to mention. You might have some relationship, but it is not active, and that we use like when you click on this, if you want to delete your relationship, when you click on your arrow, you can actually delete here, or when you go to the property, it's going to give you the property of this word. So you can have something like this property. You can have something like this. Let's now go back to our report. Let's go back to this. You can see that something have changed now. Loading. You can see that we now have something like the Power BI report on the website, like this one. We are, because we are able to create a relationship, like we are able to connect one table to other. There's not difference between the other one I showed, because now you can see we have a sign of relationship between this one, not like the previous one when all the tables are just standing on their own, like okay, I don't have any problem here, I'm just here to enjoy myself. But in this case, I'm saying that okay, no, this product, I'm trying to get the sales from this product, from this geography, I'm trying to get this. So there's kind of interconnection between all of them. They are being connected together. Okay, let me just say here. So that is it. Okay, what I want to mention again. So creating the relationship, doing the auto, and just trying to check. And some cases might have some relationship that is not active. Yeah. So when your relationship is not active, just click. Okay, let me try to do this. Okay, yeah. Okay, you can see, make this relationship active. You can have this relationship active here. You can just see this. And when you click on OK, you notice like it's going to be like it's not going to be active. So any kind of information you are trying to get between sales and geography. Let's go back to the report and see what that one has done for us. Yeah, I think I don't use any of this. So yeah, any kind of report that you're trying to get between your sales and your geography, like the relationship is not active again, you won't be able to get anything. Okay, let me do this. Yeah, so you can see what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, let me go to my date. Let me click on this. Click on this so you can see what I'm trying to talk about. You make this relationship active. You click on OK. Okay, I click on okay. Let me go back to this. You can see we have a relationship, but it is not active. So that means there is difference between making your relationship and also making sure that it is active, because there is a line connecting the sales to our date, but it is not active. So always make sure your relationship is active. So let's go back to this relationship now and double click on it, make it active again. So when you double click on it, you make it active, then you click on OK. Okay, then let's go back to this. See that we now have our data the way it's be, and everything is looking fine. We have like with this, we're able to have different things. If you have to do more analysis, like okay, let me go back to here and be like my product category here. By the total order, going to get different value. Okay, what if I add go to another table by the city? You can see, because there is a relationship between everything. I should be able to, in this kind of case, you can able to analyze everything you want to do. So at this point, I'll be ending my section and I'll be taking questions. So if you have anything to, maybe you're not clear with something, you can also ask. So thank you and questions. So thank you for listening to me and question. Welcome to my word, data word. So that is it. Thank you.
So we have any. Okay, so I don't think we have any questions. So okay, just a comment. Some presentation there from Humphrey. So like feel free to drop in your handles, Salma. So like your LinkedIn or
Yeah.
yeah. Yes. So I guess if we don't have any other question, so I guess we're going to end there. We are 6 minutes past time. Even though we started late. So but let me just stop recording. And if you haven't followed our platform user group, so like let me just share the